Hey, Thomas from Field Tennis. Today I'd like to clear up a bit of confusion about the serve pronation, because I get a lot of questions about the pronation, even though I've posted quite a few videos on the topic, but I guess we need to clarify a few things because the serve pronation movement is quite complex and sometimes misunderstood. So in my view, the first misunderstanding comes from us coaches teaching in that way, because we call this complete motion the pronation. But this motion is much more complex and involves internal shoulder rotation and many other anatomical terms that would just confuse the player. So first thing to keep in mind is that in tennis coaching we call this movement pronation from here to here. But in reality, pronation by definition in anatomy is just this. So this is pronation. This movement at the end is not pronation. This is the end of pronation, or actually the consequence of accelerating the racket while pronating the arm, because we are doing this and this is pronation. And if we do it fast when we serve, then our arm will just continue in this direction. So this is the first misconception, that you're very clear on what is pronation and what it isn't. So again, pronation is just this, and if we hold continental grip, we have to pronate to hit the ball. So one of very common questions that I receive over email or here on YouTube is that players ask me, I'm not sure if I'm doing the pronation. So my answer is, if you hold the continental grip, you are doing a pronation, because there is no other way to serve the ball. So if I did not pronate and I hold continental grip and I did not turn the hand, then I would do this. See, this is a serve with no pronation. I'll try and do the whole serve. See, that's the serve with no pronation. If you did not turn the racket face to the ball, you would just graze it like this or hit with a frame. So it's not possible to serve without pronation. You are definitely turning the hand out. So if you look at the serve without pronation from this angle, it would look like this. So I'm doing a serve, I'm coming up, I have a continental grip, I'm coming out to the ball, and I just stay in this position, wrist. I do not pronate. So wrist, it's forearm that's turning. So that's the serve with no pronation. So it's not possible to serve without pronation with a continental grip. If you have a forehand grip, then you already set the racket face to the ball and you are serving without pronation. You're already facing. So again, if you have a continental grip, it's not possible. What you probably mean when you're not sure about whether you're pronating or not is, if you're serving and you record yourself, maybe your follow-through just looks something like this, but when you observe professionals in slow motion or freeze frame, then you see that they're like this, and you say, I'm definitely not like that. So maybe you confuse this with pronation. No, I'm not pronating. So again, you are pronating here, but what is likely possible is you're not maximizing the potential of pronation. So you're just coming to the ball and kind of pushing like this. So maybe your serve, if we just look at this part, you have a continental grip, you're coming to the ball, but then you just push it like this and not maximizing the pronation potential, if I can say like that. So you're not actively doing this movement. So you're kind of just passively turning the racket, and then probably you're hitting from your shoulder, so you're coming like this and hitting. Instead of maximizing the pronation. So again, to answer you, yes, you are pronating. Are you using the maximum potential of this movement? Yes, likely not. That's why we do pronation exercises. But again, just to remind you, this is not pronation. It's quite a complex movement. If there's a doctor from anatomy that can explain it, they're going to use a lot of complex terms to explain this. So pronation is just this. So you always do this. If your ball goes over the net, you did pronation. Another common question is whether there is pronation on a topspin serve. So let me show you a topspin serve with no pronation. That's a topspin serve with no pronation. If I don't turn the racket a little bit into the ball, then the ball goes nowhere, so I just graze it. So again, if we go back to definition of pronation, pronation is this movement. So as we begin our serve, we are approaching the ball on the edge, and if we hit the ball like this without any pronation, then it will go nowhere, like just a few meters. So as soon as you're opening the racket like this, you are pronating. So if I just, instead of coming to the ball completely on the edge, if I am opening up my racket face a little bit when I'm hitting the ball, then I am pronating. If I just open the racket face a little bit and hitting topspin, the ball will get some power. If I maintain on the edge, then the ball has no power. So here from a different angle, again, topspin serve with no pronation. That's a topspin serve with no pronation. See, I hit with the frame, so I have to turn. So when I'm going for a serve, topspin serve, and I'm coming up, if I don't turn the racket a bit like this, which is pronating, I am pronating my forearm, my wrist and forearm are pronating, then the ball will go nowhere. So as soon as I'm approaching the ball, I am pronating, and more of the racket face of the string bed hits the ball and the ball gets power. So I am a little bit pronating, and that's why the ball goes there. So similar to the flat and slice serve, you might be wondering, because you saw or you recorded your topspin serve and maybe it looks like this, and you're not sure, you say, I'm not sure if I'm pronating. So again, my answer is yes, you are, because if you didn't turn your racket a little bit like this and you are pronating, the ball wouldn't go anywhere. But what is likely happening, you're not maximizing the potential of this movement, you're not going to the end of it, because you didn't do drills, because this movement is very strange. We don't do anything like this in our normal life, and it's very foreign to us. And it has to be practiced so that you feel what you can do with this forearm twist or pronation. So if I spin the ball and I push very hard like this, then my ball is faster and it has more bite, more kick. Another common question is, what is the difference in pronation when it comes to flat serve and slice serve or topspin serve, which to me are quite similar in terms of hitting the ball. So we can say, what is the difference in pronation between a flat serve and spin types of serves? So I'll show you with this ball. So when we hit a flat serve, and remember, what is pronation? By definition, is this turn of the forearm and wrist together. So this is pronation. So if I have a continental grip, then I'm approaching the ball like this on the edge. When I hit a flat serve, I'm going to pronate fully. So the racket is going to turn 90 degrees by the time it reaches the ball. So my forearm up here is going to turn 90 degrees, and I'm going to come square on the ball like flat, and then continue pushing it in the direction of the serve. When I hit a slice serve, then I'm approaching the ball on the edge and the pronation has not fully completed. So when I'm hitting the ball, the racket is still angled, it has not turned fully. So I'm hitting the ball like this. That's why I get a slice. Because I initiated pronation and I'm just partially there when I hit the ball, now the ball is gone, then pronation will complete because I'm accelerating this way. So here the pronation, the first 90 degrees has completed in a flat serve, and when I hit a slice serve, the pronation is halfway done, or I'm not sure exactly what percentage, but we're on the way of completing the pronation. We're hitting the ball, we're a little bit sideways, the ball flies off, and the pronation completes and then continues into this movement. So regardless of any serve we do, whether it's flat or slice or topspin, this move always happens. So this maximizing the potential of pronation always happens with a pro player. So what can likely happen to you is you're just coming like this to the ball, and then you're not really maximizing this push. You can think of pushing with the index finger forward and outward. So you're not maximizing, you're just coming and then you're going like this. So that's why it might confuse you. You're not sure, am I doing pronation or not? Yes, you initiated pronation, but then you just kind of didn't really actively do the movement until the end, because we have to teach you to move the racket to the end, even though the ball is gone, so that you have a picture or the movement installed in your forearm, in your arm. Because of course it doesn't matter what we do after contact, but if you're doing the right movement and you learn to do this twisting motion, the pronation to the end, then when you are hitting the ball, you will bring much more force into the ball and more speed. So that is the purpose of teaching you this movement, even though it doesn't matter after contact. Because if you don't do it like this, you don't learn, you don't do pronation exercises, then you will not really use the potential of this movement. You'll just use maybe half of it or 30% of it. Of course you will pronate when you hit the ball, but maybe you will just then push the ball through your shoulder and not here, and that's why you lack power. And the last question about serve pronation is the one I received recently, and the player was asking me, do I have to learn the pronation and come at the ball with the edge and so on? Because I have seen some professionals, the name mentioned was Kiki Bertens, and she has a waiter's grip and she's not doing pronation. Or why do I have to learn the pronation if Kiki Bertens is serving and opening the racket like this? So she's serving like this. Why do I have to learn this position if a professional is opening the racket face like this and still whacking the ball 100 miles an hour? So my point is that you cannot serve without pronation if you have a continental grip. So Kiki Bertens also has a continental grip, it's just that she opens the hand like this, which we don't like to see because the serve potential is not maximized. But can you serve from this? Yes, you can serve from this, because she's still using the whole body, unwinding, swinging and everything, accelerating. So even though I can open the racket face like this, I still pronate. If I hit the ball well and then continue this side. So I can do like this and pronate. So again, I'm calling this whole movement pronation, but it's more about maximizing the pronation, because this is pronation by definition, and if you really feel this movement well, then you can whack the ball really well. So how your wrist position is here is not so crucial. What matters is what you do here. Of course, we coaches always want to teach the player right, because having a wrist like this will, of course, maximize the serve potential. So her serve obviously has a little flaw, but they were unable to correct it, and she's still playing WTA tennis. So the only exception would be if someone has a forehand grip and serving like this, then of course there is no pronation needed, because if you were to pronate with the forehand grip, your racket would point there to the outside. So you couldn't even hit the ball in the court. You have a forehand grip, of course it also looks like this. You come like this and you hit the ball. It's also okay. You can serve like that, even with power. So just to show, I'm gonna hit a few serves with a forehand grip. Everything is technically wrong, but I can still whack the ball, see? So what gives the power to the serve is basically more biomechanics of the body, rotation, core muscles, stretching in the shoulder, and so on. And of course, the right grip and the right approach to the ball will give you the option to vary your serve. You can hit spins and slices, but with this grip you cannot. You can just hit straight, flat, or even backward spin, but you cannot with this grip try, like, it's very, very awkward to try and spin the ball. So that you understand why do we teach continental grip, because it allows us to vary the serve. We can hit it flat, we can hit it with topspin, we can hit slice, all quite comfortably after a while. But with the forehand grip you are limited. You can just whack the ball straight. Can you still hit fast? Yes, you can hit fast, as you saw. You're just limited for other variations of the serve. If you have any other questions about the pronation and the serve, let me know in the comments below and I'll make another video, but hopefully I've covered all of them. Thanks for watching and I'll see you next time.